Have you ever wondered why betrayal hurts more when it comes from a friend? Why someone you once laughed with, cried with, could one day turn their back on you? The truth is, emotion is powerful, but it's also dangerous. We trust people not because they're loyal, but because we feel safe around them. And sometimes, that feeling becomes our biggest weakness. A friend's love can turn into jealousy. Their admiration can quietly become resentment. And while your guard is down, that's when the knife slips in. Your enemy, on the other hand, they don't pretend. They show their cards from the start. They deal in logic, not emotion. And because of that, they're often more predictable, and strangely, more reliable. In today's episode, we're diving deep into the hidden psychology behind trust and betrayal. Why friends often betray faster than enemies, and how learning to understand, and even use, your enemies can make you stronger than ever before. Because power doesn't come from trusting blindly, it comes from understanding deeply. The paradox of friendship: we grow up believing that friends are the safest people in our lives, people who will protect us, defend us, and celebrate us. But psychology teaches us that emotions complicate everything. A friend's loyalty is often built on feelings, affection, admiration, comfort, or shared experience. But the human mind is fragile. The same emotions that bond us can also destroy us. Love can turn into jealousy. Admiration can turn into competition. And closeness can turn into resentment. You see, when people become too familiar with you, they stop seeing your strength. They start seeing your flaws, your mistakes, your weaknesses, and sometimes, they begin to feel they deserve what you have. That's why betrayal rarely comes from strangers. It comes from those who once said, "I'll never hurt you." The psychology of emotional loyalty. Let's go deeper. In human psychology, loyalty that comes from emotion is unstable. Why? Because emotions change. A friend who loves you today can envy you tomorrow. Someone who praises you today can quietly compete with you next month. Their loyalty is conditional, based on how they feel about you at the moment. And once that emotional connection is shaken, by success, by distance, or by misunderstanding, the trust begins to crack. Psychologists call this emotional displacement, when affection turns into frustration because one person's growth threatens another's sense of identity. That's why the most dangerous betrayals often come from friends, not enemies. Friends have access to your secrets. They know your vulnerabilities. And if their emotions shift, your trust becomes your weakness. The hidden value of enemies. Now, this is where things get interesting. What about enemies? The people who oppose you, criticize you, maybe even hate you? An enemy is different. They don't pretend. They don't hide their intentions behind smiles or soft words. Their emotions are clear. They don't like you. And that clarity gives you power. When someone dislikes you, you can predict their moves. You can anticipate their behavior. And surprisingly, when an enemy stands to gain something from your success or alliance, their loyalty becomes more reliable, because it's built on need, not emotion. Psychologists call this reciprocal utility. The tendency for people to act honestly and consistently when their interest depends on it. In simple terms, an enemy who benefits from helping you will stay loyal as long as it benefits them. And that makes them predictable. But a friend acting purely on emotion, they might love you today, and turn on you tomorrow. The balance between heart and mind. This doesn't mean you should live with suspicion or stop trusting everyone. It means, trust wisely. The most emotionally intelligent people don't trust based on feelings alone. They trust based on patterns of behavior. They observe. They test loyalty through time and pressure. Because true loyalty doesn't show when things are easy. It shows when everything falls apart. So, when you're deciding who to trust, ask yourself, does this person stand with me because they feel for me, or because they believe in me? One is emotional. The other is psychological, and far more stable. Real-life reflection. Think about history, business, and even personal life. Many great leaders learned that enemies can become allies, and allies can become threats. When someone has nothing to lose by betraying you, they eventually will. But when someone's benefit depends on your strength, they'll protect it. It's human nature. We're motivated more by self-interest than sentiment. It doesn't make people evil, it makes them human. And the people who understand that truth don't take betrayal personally anymore. They see it as a part of human psychology, predictable, preventable, and even useful. There's a saying that's as old as time: never put too much trust in friends. Learn how to use enemies. At first, it sounds harsh, even cruel. But when you understand the psychology of trust, emotion, and survival, you'll see that it's not about being cold or heartless. It's about understanding human nature and protecting your mind, your peace, and your power. Friends come into our lives through affection, comfort, and shared emotions. Enemies come through conflict, competition, and differences. Yet, sometimes, your friend can betray you faster than your enemy ever could. Why? Because emotions, not logic, govern friendship. And emotion is unpredictable. Today, we're diving deep into this hidden truth. The psychological reason friends can betray faster than enemies, and how learning to understand, and even use, your enemies can make you stronger, wiser, and more in control of your life. The psychology of trust. Trust is the foundation of every human relationship. But psychology teaches us that trust is emotional, not rational. We trust people because of how they make us feel, not because of what they can actually do. We assume that people who smile with us, talk with us, or share our secrets will never hurt us. But here's the uncomfortable truth. The brain's limbic system, which controls emotion, is also where trust and betrayal reside. So the same emotion that makes you bond with someone is the same emotion that can blind you to danger. That's why betrayal hurts more when it comes from a friend. You never expected it. You never prepared for it. And because your guard was down, the pain cuts deeper. Enemies, however, you expect nothing from them. So when they act, they can't disappoint you. Why friends betray faster? Let's talk psychology and emotion. Friends are driven by feelings, jealousy, pride, insecurity, competition. The closer the bond, the stronger the emotional current. Sometimes, your success reminds your friend of what they don't have. Sometimes, your confidence makes them feel small. And because emotions are irrational, they might act out, gossip, sabotage, or withdraw. But your enemy? They have no illusions. They're not clouded by affection. They move strategically, not emotionally. They calculate what they gain or lose before they act. And in that calculation lies a strange kind of loyalty. Because enemies, when they need you, stay true to the agreement. While friends, when their emotions shift, break the bond without warning. This is why powerful people throughout history, from kings to leaders, often trusted former enemies more than emotional friends. Enemies who become allies bring logic, not sentiment. They respect strength, not comfort. The power of using enemies. Now, using enemies doesn't mean manipulation or deceit. It means understanding their motives and aligning your interests intelligently. In psychology, this is called reciprocal need. Two people who may dislike each other but cooperate because they both stand to gain. It's the foundation of diplomacy, negotiation, and even business partnerships. Think of it as strategic respect. Enemies often make you sharper, more aware, and more disciplined. They expose your weaknesses, and in doing so, force you to grow. They teach you resilience, emotional control, and how to think 2 steps ahead. While friends, wrapped in comfort and emotion, might make you complacent. Enemies challenge you. They remind you that peace without awareness can lead to downfall. Sometimes, your enemy gives you something your friend never could: clarity. The emotional paradox of friendship. Friendship isn't bad, it's beautiful. But the danger lies in overtrusting. When you give too much of yourself, your secrets, your emotions, your plans, you give someone the weapon to hurt you. In psychology, this is called the vulnerability paradox. The more you open up emotionally, the more power you give another person over your feelings. The lesson is not to become cold, but to balance emotion with awareness. To love without losing wisdom. To trust without surrendering your peace. And to remember that not everyone smiling beside you is loyal behind your back. As humans, we crave connection. But wisdom demands we learn who deserves access to our inner world. The wise balance. So, what's the psychological balance? It's learning to trust actions, not words. To read patterns, not promises. And to understand that even in friendship, you must keep your boundaries sacred. Keep your emotions warm but your judgment clear. Use your heart to connect, but your mind to protect. Enemies will always exist, but sometimes they become the greatest teachers. Because they force you to awaken the strength that comfort often hides. And when you learn to navigate both love and conflict wisely, you rise above manipulation, betrayal, and emotional blindness. In the end, Life will teach you one undeniable truth: that not everyone who smiles with you stands with you. Some friendships are lessons, some are blessings, and some are warnings wrapped in laughter. It's easy to see your enemies. They confront you openly. But friends, the wrong ones, they walk beside you quietly, and it's their silence that wounds the deepest. Still, don't let pain make you bitter. Let it make you wise. Learn to observe more and trust less. Listen to actions, not words. Keep your circle small, but your awareness vast. Because true strength doesn't come from surrounding yourself with people. It comes from understanding them. Never put too much trust in friends. Learn how to use your enemies, not through manipulation, but through awareness, through clarity, through self-control. When you understand how people think, you stop reacting and start mastering. And that is where real power begins. What are your thoughts on this truth? Have you ever been betrayed by a friend or helped by someone you once considered an enemy? Share your story in the comments. Someone out there might need your perspective today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell, so you don't miss the next episode of Psychology Facts, where we uncover the secrets of the human mind, one truth at a time.